I'm sat here in a pile of clothes that I don't really wear anymore. So I'm aware of how wildly hypocritical the topic of this video is, considering what I'm surrounded by, and the fact that I release a new video every week talking about what clothes or shoes to buy. But believe it or not, I actually spend a lot less on clothes these days than I used to about 5 or 6 years ago. What surrounds me is a vision of my past where I would buy every little thing I could get my hands on. This was for a variety of reasons, like following a trend, or trying to look like somebody else. But really what I think it came down to was the rush of buying and owning an item. It was somewhat of an addiction. I'd convinced myself I needed a certain piece in every colour, or that I needed different types of jackets in case there was a slightly different weather change. But I ended up just hoarding a bunch of clothes and shoes that I only wore once or twice and never looked at again. With all the economic stuff surrounding us today, I thought it would be a good time to talk about how you can spend less on clothes without sacrificing too much happiness or style. This video is not about minimalism, although I think that is something that has a lot of benefits. And this video certainly isn't about making anybody feel bad. I think a good place to start is to talk about the advantages of spending and owning less clothes. First of all, you're going to save so much money and energy. It takes a surprising amount of energy to keep up with every trend and ensure you're buying all the newest things. By cutting down on this, you can redirect that money and energy into something that's going to give you more long-term value. Second, it's going to be so much easier to decide what to wear day to day. In my prime shopping days, I'd have wardrobes and drawers full of clothes. They were so packed to the brim that it actually became stressful thinking about what I actually owned, let alone what to wear. The third point is that you're probably going to be doing a lot less laundry. I used to have so many clothes that I'd change my outfit halfway through the day just for the sake of it, resulting in more clothes getting dirty and needing washing. Unless of course you're transitioning from a casual to a formal event, there's often no need to change your clothes throughout the day. So now I want to talk about a few things that I did to dramatically cut down my spending, and things that you might find useful to incorporate into your own buying habits. Think about why you want to spend less. For example, are you saving? Is it a challenge? Or do you think you actually might have an addiction? For me, it was saving and moving into my own home. It quickly became clear to me that I needed to save money and space for more meaningful things in my house, like a working toilet or some skirting boards that I still don't have. Whatever it is, keep that goal in mind constantly and even write it down if you need to. Quality over quantity. This is something I talk about a lot because I've come to appreciate it more and more. Buying fewer but nicer clothes and shoes has made me enjoy my wardrobe so much more because I appreciate the quality of the things I have. And this doesn't only apply to clothes and shoes, by the way. I've carried over this ethos into most other items in my life. The saying buy cheap, buy twice is something I think about a lot. I'm not saying it's true for everything because we know that there are some very expensive things out there that are made of very cheap materials. But at least with something more expensive that you have to save for, it gives you that little bit more time to think about your purchase. I will very often put an item in my basket and leave it for a day, and I find by the time I go back to it the next day, my hype for it has sort of died down and I don't really want the item anymore. The next thing you can do is to not buy too many similar pieces. For example, if you're into workwear and you find yourself wearing your Carhartt Detroit jacket a lot, you probably don't need to go out and buy a Harrington jacket, which is a very similar style. When you pick your outfit each day, you'll probably find yourself reaching for your Detroit jacket every time, and your Harrington jacket will just gather dust and take up room in your wardrobe. You could also try limiting the amount of colours that you own. We all know that neutrals go with everything, but that doesn't necessarily mean you need a bunch of beige clothes. Think about the colours that you like to wear most and stick to buying those, or clothes that complement that colour. Having random standout pieces in colours you don't often wear are going to be really hard to match, and they're the types of pieces you'll probably end up wearing once or twice and then never again. In relation to this, be comfortable with your own style and understand the things that you like to wear. You don't need several different outfits in several different styles in order to fit in. If you embrace your own style and know what your favourite look is, you'll only ever have to buy pieces that fit that style. Another thing to look out for are versatile pieces. If you're set on buying something new, it can be useful to determine how versatile it's going to be in your wardrobe. My number one example of a versatile piece are the Doc Martens 1460s. I've worn them on so many different occasions, from weddings to clubs to concerts. Thinking about if and how you're going to wear a piece before you buy it can really help you cut down on unnecessary spending. Repurposing your clothes is another great way to cut down on how many clothes you buy. You can wear things you already own in a different way to give it a completely new lease of life. You could also have them tailored either by a professional or as a DIY project to give a completely new kind of fit. For example, I really like the cropped boxy look, and there's a guy on Reddit who crops his old work shirts and it looks absolutely amazing. It's bang on trend, and they've managed to get themselves a unique piece that they really like for little or no money. Take stock of what you already own so you can plan ahead before you buy something new. This will stop you from buying something that you already have, which I've done on many occasions. This will allow you to focus on gaps you actually have in your wardrobe and focus your energy on those pieces instead of just buying anything new that you see. At the same time, it could be a great opportunity to start decluttering things, which is definitely something I need to work on. I'm going to be bagging up a lot of this stuff and giving it to charity, and I can guarantee I'm going to feel so much better and more organised afterwards. You could also agree with yourself that you're not going to buy anything new until you sell something. This is something I've really taken on board recently. I try not to buy a new piece until I've made room for it in my wardrobe, either by giving it to charity or selling it. This saves you money and space and gives you that time to think about your purchase. Sometimes you can sell an item for the same price as the new piece you want, and it almost feels free. In addition to this, it's good to stick to a budget when you're buying a new piece. Think about what price the new piece is worth to you and either wait for it to drop in price or sell enough items that you can cover the cost for it. Another tip that I've talked about previously is buying second hand. You can often get the types of clothes you want for a much lower price that also helps the environment. You'll also find that a lot of vintage pieces tend to be really high quality, and of course they're unique because they're not being made anymore. So what's not to love? My final suggestion is to not buy something just because you've seen it on social media. I know I'm shooting myself in the foot a bit here, but I have to be honest. Buying the exact clothes that an influencer's wearing is not necessarily going to bring you happiness. Definitely continue to follow your favourite influencers and always support and enjoy their work. But I know firsthand that you can spend a lot of money to look like someone else, and then once you have the thing, it's very underwhelming and you're immediately on to the next thing. And it can be a vicious cycle just repeating this process, and in the meantime you're losing a lot of money. And so that's all I really have to say for today. I hope it was useful, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next week.